Hello, welcome to this nighttime taste challenge. It's dark. It's cold. Um, 30 degrees, freezing a little bit. Not enough to run the pipe, run the water. But okay, I have two 40% alcohol Canadian blended whiskeys, both bottled in Kentucky. And funny thing, both of these brands were started by Seagrams, but they were sold off. So Harwood, Canadian, nice bottle with the duck. Harwood was started by Seagrams, introduced by Seagrams in 1969. 80%, 80 proof, 40% alcohol, aged 3 years. And it was sold to Heaven Hill in 1989, 30 years later. So started by Seagrams, and then they started selling off brands in 1989, and then in 91, and then their whole company went out of business in 2000, but it was sold to Heaven Hill. Okay. Not common in Louisiana, but I did find it at Dorgnax, but you don't typically see this around Louisiana. Canadian Hunter, also introduced by Seagrams in 1984. It was called Seagrams Canadian Hunter. But only 5 years later, they sold it to the Sazerac Company, which changed the name to Canadian Hunter, dropped the Seagrams. Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. It's got the bullet cartridge on there. Canadian Hunter. It's got the hunter with the hunting rifle and the heavy winter clothing and hunting dogs. Okay, same logo as it had in 84, basically. You got the mountains in the background. So they haven't really changed the label, changed the bottle design. You can tell that's an ancient aged bottle. Just like Benchmark is putting an ancient aged bottle today, and Samuel Grant Whiskey's putting an ancient aged bottle, and a whole lot of other stuff. Okay, so that's a common Sazerac bottle. Clear. Yes. It's bottled at Buffalo Trace in Frankfort, Kentucky, but it's of course produced in Canada. All right, and they got the antlers on the neck. This one is very common in Louisiana. You see these bottles everywhere. Sometimes they're less than $10 per bottle. And you see the handles, the plastic handles of this. Walmart, Thurns, Winn-Dixie, everybody's got it, okay? It's just common. Okay. All right, gotta make sure my label's all right. Should be able to tell them apart because I don't think this one has flavoring added. It might, because you're not required to disclose that in a Canadian whiskey, but Heaven Hill's usually pretty good about it. If they have flavoring, they'll say flavoring added. Sazerac's the same way. They'll tell you, so this one does not taste like flavorings in it, and it doesn't look like coloring is added. It's so pale, but I could be wrong. But I mean, I'll tell you what, if they got flavoring, they must have put one drop of it. Or if it's a dehydrated thing, maybe one crystal. Okay, so that's Harwood. I think we're at the end. I might have enough for 2 taste challenges. Hopefully I do, but it's not looking good. That's hopeless, I think. Don't think that's feasible. And this is a feasibility issue on this channel. If you never see it again, that means I gave up and I knew I couldn't make it. Appearance, they're both pretty pale. So I don't get the impression that they're adding coloring, but they could be. But after being aged after being aged 3 years, Probably take on some pale yellowish gold. Canadian Hunter's got no age statement. We know it's at least 3 years old, so it probably have a little gold. They have a little gold appearance. All right. But we know for certain that the Canadian Hunter has flavors added to it because it says it, natural flavoring, which to me is sort of like a vanilla type thing. John Anile will say it's to him it's almond extract. Certainly possible, but I think that's kind of well, maybe vanilla extract's expensive too. I don't know. These companies buying this on the wholesale market, so they get a lot cheaper than you or I could buy it for. But or whatever, it could be neither one. The natural flavor might be neither one of those things. And furthermore, Sazerac is never going to tell you. They keep all that stuff secret. So the only thing we can know for sure is that it's a natural flavoring of some sort. And we really have to leave it at that. Doesn't seem to affect it, good or bad, whatever. I mean, as far as the sales, you know what I'm saying? It's a popular item. Let's see what Walmart says about it because there's no website for it. Sazerac only puts a few of their brands on the internet. The rest they just stick on the shelf and they figure if you want it, you'll buy it. They only promote one of their rye whiskeys. They only promote one of or two of their vodkas. Few of the Scotch brands they promote, like a couple of gins. Miles, I don't know why they promote Miles. It's very cheap, inexpensive bottom shelf gin, but there it is on their website. They bragging about it like it's something special. Booth's gin, another cheap one, but they talk about it like they build it up. They build it up. Let's see, Canadian Hunter. Look at all this stuff here. It's books. I'm not looking for a book about Canadian hunters. Oh, I see that's Walmart's website's kind of peculiar. Okay, they're not showing it. Oh, maybe they dropped it, but I don't think they dropped it. Could have. Could have. Okay. I guess they dropped it in favor of Canadian Limited, which sells like fire around here, and Rich and Rare, which also sells like fire around here. So, okay. I like the new Crown Royal XO bottle. It's even better than the old one. But I'm not paying that money for it. Okay, let's see Total Wine, what they say about it, because I know they've got it. I know they've got Canadian Hunter. There we go. Told you less than $10, $9.49. I think Mathern got it for $8.99. Well, they might have gone up. $16.99 for a handle. It's not locally in stock right now, but they got it in Lafayette, Louisiana, 100 miles away. Yep, same label. Yep, same exact label. He's holding the gun in his left hand. He must be left-handed, obviously. They say golden amber in color. I would say more like just gold, light gold. I have to pour a little more. Yeah, there's no way I can get a second tasting out of this. This is useless. There's no hope. Well, I'll just do something with that a little bit. Cook with it. um, Aromas of caramel, saltwater taffy, toasted nuts, maybe almonds, followed through on a thin, watery entry into a dry, light body with a wisp of honeyed wheat cracker and a brisk pepper and dusty mineral fade. Oh, wow. Sazerac really went crazy with this description. You know, they sent it to Total Wine on a sell sheet or a file that they put on their computer. I mean, on their computer, on their, you know what I'm saying, on their, what do you call it? The internet, their website. um, I don't think it's that complex for $9.49. But we'll see. we'll entertain it, but we won't believe it. Harwood. No, see, they don't carry Harwood. Whiskey distribution, beer distribution is strange. So here we go with these two. Sweet grain once again, and it's blended. So like I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, there's the corn, the maize if you live in Europe. There's the corn. There's the barley whiskey, the malt whiskey. Oh, there's the wheat and there's the rye. It's so clear. No, they're blended. So it's just all mixed together. But you can kind of make out little bits of it. And then there's people who say, I'm not drinking Canadian whiskey because it's blended. I drink bourbon. Okay. What do you think bourbon is? That would be my question. I mean, I don't care if you don't want to drink Canadian whiskey. You say, I don't like it. Fine. You don't have to like it. Some people don't like avocados. I was talking to a guy yesterday. I'll never eat avocado. I said, you don't like guacamole? Oh, no, I don't like. He said, either you love avocado or you hate it. I said, when I was a kid, I hated it. Now I like it. See, I said, you might get a taste for it, Shane. Oh, no. Fine. You don't like it, don't drink it. But if your argument is, I don't drink Canadian whiskey because it's blended, I only drink bourbon, then your argument makes no sense. Okay? Because this might be a blend of 80% corn. I'm just making up numbers. Let's say it's 80% corn, 10% rye, 5% malted barley whiskey, you know, like in Scotland, they call that single malt, and 5% wheat whiskey. Then you're going to turn around and buy a bourbon that's 80% corn, 10% rye, 5% malted barley, and 5% wheat whiskey. Now, so they're blended together, are they not? What is that? Does the whiskey have compartments inside the bottle where each thing is separate? I've even pinned people down that's all on bourbon. They're bourbon. And I'm not an anti-bourbonite. Don't get me wrong. I got more bourbon in this house than probably anything else. I got too much. I can't even get through it. I'm just bringing up the point. I've even pinned them down and say, what is bourbon? You tell me what's bourbon. They could not really tell me. You're all about it, but you don't know what it is. You're all about it, but you don't know what it is. That's interesting. Okay. I had a guy that was in the industry, a beer guy though, beer salesman, telling me, I love this rye whiskey because it's a great bourbon. I said, time out. I said, if it's a rye whiskey, it can't be bourbon Well, he got angry. Don't tell me what's going on and blah blah blah. I pulled out $20. I said, see, that's $20 bill. This says that it's not bourbon. You know what I'm saying? Well, he stormed out of there kind of angry. I didn't care because I wasn't being ugly. A week later, he came in there and he was like, Ronald, you're right. You're right. You were right. You got me because I didn't know what I was talking about. I said, there's an honest guy. He's like me because that's the way I am. If I'm wrong, I'll just say, oh, I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was totally wrong. Wasn't wrong about Green Bay last weekend. I said, that team could win. I didn't think they would necessarily, but I was thinking, that team could win on the road. And sure enough, they did. The aroma here is not that different from over here. So, okay, so the flavoring, no flavoring, whatever, but the aroma is like, this is more like, Phil says, hello from Paris. Jay, hello, Phil. You're in Paris. I've never been to France. I've flown over France, how you say that word? France in a plane. I can see it, it's hilly and farms everywhere. But I've never been to France. I flew over Ireland, but never been to Ireland. You say, well, you've been in their airspace. Okay, I've been in their airspace. Never been on the ground. It's not like football where if you cross the plane, it counts as a touchdown. No, you got to actually touch down to say you were in a country. That's my philosophy. This is like sweet corn, and that's more like roasted corn. Like those corn nuts, the thing. Like if you go to Mexico, they roast the corn on the cob. It's like a crunchy snack. Okay, so they're not that different though, but let's go with the taste Chaz. But I have been to Canada. 5 provinces. There's 10 provinces. I've been to 5. Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, Ontario, Quebec, and Ontario. I wanted to go in order. This tastes like it's got flavoring at it. Okay, let's go over here. Good flavor, but flavor. This camera. This just tastes like corn and rye. You say, what if they got barley in it? It could be barley whiskey, malt, malt whiskey. I just don't detect that. Yeah, it's got a little spiciness from rye, a little pepperiness. So which one is better? They're the same price. I mean, literally, I think the Harwood is $2 cheap because Total Wine got Canadian Hunter for $16.99. I bought that only about 3 months ago. It was really recently. It was $14.99. $14.99. $16.99. I'm talking about for the handle bottle, not the little. But for the little glass bottle, I say little glass bottle. The normal size, 750 milliliters, same size as a wine bottle, whiskey bottle. For the glass bottle, it's probably the same price. But this one is really inexpensive, $14.99. That's craziness. And then Albertson's running a special on Canadian Crest right now for $13.99. Canadian Crest, $13.99. I had a bottle. It's gone. It was pretty good. Tasted a lot like Canadian Hunter, made by the same people. If they have flavor in it, it's not much. It's not like an almond joy, It's just like a little touch of it. This has more of that whiskey flavor, like oak, like you have a barrel and it was soaked. It's saturated with whiskey. This one here is more like bourbon. I was on a rant about bourbon earlier. Don't think I was incorrect on that. but it's like a bourbon flavor, but maybe, minus the char, because bourbon, you got that charred oak sometimes, usually depending on the char level, but it's very bourbon like minus that. So you say, well, that's an important part, the char. It is, and I agree with that. That's why I put that exception in there. So would I drink Harwood over Canadian Hunter? Yes, I would recommend it over Canadian Hunter. Only problem is this one. Well, you might live in a state, you say, well, I'm in Michigan, it's everywhere, and we never heard of Canadian Hunter. And then in Louisiana, Canadian Hunter's everywhere, and most people never heard of Harwood. But when I saw it, I was fascinated by it. I was like, I gotta buy this because I never heard of it. And I was thinking, I bet you there's some history behind it, like a story and everything. Yep, sure enough, there is. Goes back, nearly 100 years. Although I'm talking about the current one, is from only 1969. Progressive Discussion says, greetings. Well, James is up early. Greetings to you, James. Progressive Discussions. But yeah, I'd take either one of these, but I prefer that. Nikki Haley, I would never vote for her. Just bringing that up as a kind of a political aside. Just thought I'd throw that in there for fun. Nemrata Haley. No knock against her. The only thing I have against her is that I don't agree with any of her policies. Makes sense. It's never personal with me. Like, some people are very personal about politics, like they have personal animosity towards people. I don't. I really don't. It's a policy issue with me. Policy. Hello from Kentucky, says Brandon. Hello to you. So I think this is the Canadian Hunter, but I have to reveal it now. I've already gotten it wrong twice in this challenge series. 8 right, 2 wrong. So I'm 80% right now. But I got it right. So now I got 9 right and 2 wrong. Hey, yeah. Very nice. Phil says, watching your live video with a German beer, German red steam brew. Oh, I never heard of that, but I'm sure I'd probably like it. I mean, I'm sure I'd like it. I like that. I'm sure I'd probably like it. I can guarantee that, more or less. No, and I'm unanimous in that. No, but I love those German beers. All right, so Canadian Hunter, it's fine, but there's a reason it's $9.49. Harwood punches above its weight. It's super inexpensive also, but it tastes a lot more expensive. So if you tasted Harwood, you would not think it was less than $10 for a regular bottle. You just wouldn't think it. Tastes like be a 20-something dollar bottle. Okay, but so that's the magic of Canada. Unfortunately, Canadians, they end up paying a lot more in their own country for the same products, Canadian products. It's a shame. Okay, well, thanks everybody. I plan to be back tomorrow with another taste challenge.